UFC 299, the Sugar Show makes his first title defense. We're here for it, folks. Sean O'Malley versus the Chito Vera rematch right there. Only loss on his record is to that man, Marlon Vera. Whether it was a stub toe or a weird nerve that was hit, it doesn't matter. A win is a win and a loss is a loss. The Sugar Show says he's still undefeated, and we're here to break all of that down, find out this weekend. Welcome back to another episode of the Bloody Water Podcast. My name is Derick G. I am your host, and breaking it down with me, as always, the Santa Fe Bomber, the New Mexico native. AJ, this is the Sugar Show. This is Marlon Chito Vera coming up number 5 in the world, getting a title shot. Bantamweight implications, new guard is at hand. How excited are you for this stacked UFC 299?
Absolutely excited, Derek. It's no longer the Sugar Show, it's Champ Show this week. It's going to be a lot of fun, man, and you're right. A win is a win, a loss is a loss, and I know it still hurts Sugar over there wanting to get this one back, and plus the rest of the stack card, brother. I am very excited for UFC 299.
Well, I'll tell you what I'm more excited about. I'm excited about adding to what we're doing right here at the Bloody Water Podcast, which is giving you guys money line picks for the main card. We're breaking down parlays throughout the card, prelims included, and then we got you with a prop bet. So that's literally what we're here to break down. If you have not subscribed yet, not sure what you're doing, AJ, I don't know if you noticed, the people, they got to know it. We're over 840 strong with the subscriber base. Get us to 1,000. That's where we need to be. But we're not going to talk about all of that stuff. Let's take a quick look down below here. AJ, as you can see, we got some numbers, 25 and 10 for me. I'm at that coveted plus 70% mark, but it's March. It's early in the year. We're looking to hold on as long as possible. You, my friend, 19 and 16, still hovering over 50%. I'm not, AJ, I'm gonna let you do it. I don't want to bash too much, but we see all our pundits and we see the people that are on the television giving out picks and doing this and being all fancy, and what do we inevitably see? Horrible records or no record keeping. We're here for accountability. Talk to the people.
Absolutely accountable here, folks. That's the one thing you can count on for sure. Yeah, we're going to give you the picks. We're going to hit on all of them consistently week in and week out. But when we don't, we're going to let you know, folks. We're right here. Nobody does this like us. Nobody holds himself accountable because they're all scared to actually hold the truth. And that's what we're bringing you, folks. Money every single weekend, and you know when it's going to happen. And hey, we hold ourselves accountable as well. And that's how we're making you more money consistently.
Couldn't have said it better myself. Like I said, we're here to go ahead and give you guys some value. So let's jump on over to, AJ, you know it, the big screen, baby. Let's go. All right, the big screen. These are the main card picks. This is your guys' opportunity. Take a screenshot. This is the money line. You'll see a lot of overlapping picks, which is going to inevitably bring us to the next screen. The consensus picks right here, AJ. The Sugar Show, Sean O'Malley. We have him consensus right here. Trailblazer, Kevin Holland, Jack Della Maddalena. That could be a little interesting one. We definitely need to dive into that a little bit later. And then, of course, Piotr Jan, former reigning champion of the Bantamweight division, which today feels ages ago at this point, AJ, but that's neither here nor there. Now, people love a good consensus pick. People love a good money line pick, but there's one thing that I think you guys like a little bit more because it gets you more credibility with your friends, right, when you guys are playing picks, and that is some props right here. You're not going to say who wins. You're going to let them know how it gets done. However, AJ, we took a little bit of a different approach. I want you to start off, man. Under 2.5 rounds. What do you like about Vergara versus Almabayev?
Under 2.5 rounds, folks. Why I like this one, it's a 3-round fight. There's a lot of room in that under 2.5 to be able to get things going. And yeah, it's at minus 115. There's a lot of props right here. And I like both these guys because they're finishers in this one. They're going to be looking for it, especially Almabayev. He's going to be hunting for that finish. CJ Vergara is also a dog. Better pay attention to this one, folks.
Now, when I was browsing through the different props, sometimes you see something that just screams value at you. Like, you look at it and your eyes widen. You say, how has nobody jumped on this? I saw Burns, 37 years old, but very, very tough dude to finish versus an unproven Della Maddalena at this level, over 2.5 rounds. If this goes to a close decision, we're all winning right here. Plus money, plus 120, baby. Let's go. I'm either going to win big or I'm going to lose horribly. You see, I'm on a one pick losing streak. I guess that's what we're going to call it. The point is, this is the bounce back. This is the comeback. Tail if you feeling confident. And if you saw my record, you should be pretty damn confident. All right, AJ, on to the parlays, my friend. So again, apologies, guys. We give you a lot of different stuff to play around here. But again, we went searching for value. So again, AJ, you got a nice, clean money line parlay. Felipe Lins, Macy Barber money line. Cashes out at plus 207. Give a quick one-sentence synopsis about this.
Man, this one's an interesting one, folks, because both of these fights are going to be very hard, but I see the styles of both Felipe Lins and Macy Barber being able to get this done. That's why I like the money line pick right here for both of them.
That's right. And then for me, I'm rocking with another set of overs right here. 2 overs. Poirier versus Benoit Saint-Denis. If he doesn't get it done immediately, this is a 5-round fight, folks. This was plus money, I think this was plus money at over 1.5 rounds. Ridiculous. We're jumping on it. Plus Petr Yan versus Song Yadong. Again, if Song does not finish him early, we know Yan loves to go to a good decision. Could be split either way. If it hits over 2.5 rounds, to combine them together, minus 108. And I actually take it back. The Poirier BSD, I think that was like minus 250 for over 1.5 rounds. Either way, minus 108 overall. Those are your parlays. Enough talking. You see the record below. With that being said, AJ, let's jump into these main card fights. Let's get it, baby.
Here's to another main card breakdown, courtesy of your hosts, Derick G and AJ.
Folks, you guys know what we're here to do. We're starting with the main event, Bantamweight Championship, working our way down to the opening bout of the UFC 299 stacked card right there. But the most important thing that we need to do before we jump into things is I need to remind you, if you have not subscribed, you should absolutely do it right now. Our goal, our job, our aim is to provide you value week in and week out. We give you guys multiple episodes every single week. We do the film study, we break down the tape, and all we ask in return is a simple subscribe, tell a friend to tell a friend, because this is your favorite fighter's favorite fight show. Now, with that being said, AJ, you know the drill. Let's talk about Sean O'Malley, Chito Vera rematch right here, man. Opening odds, minus 240 for the Sugar Show, plus 195 comeback for Marlon Chito Vera. But the reality is, AJ, those were opening odds, and we need to talk about some live odds. Minus 290, the Sugar Show has swolled to. Plus 235 comeback from Marlon Vera. And a lot of people were asking, why is this matchup happening? Some people are saying handpicked by the Sugar Show. Other people are saying, well, it only made sense narrative-wise. Let's talk about the narrative before we jump into the numbers. Was this really the only fight that made sense for Sean O'Malley? This is the only loss on his record. He's got to get it back now that he's the champ, right?
I mean, yeah, there is that thought, Derek, and don't get me wrong, I'd love to see I'm excited to see this fight, excited to see the one quote-unquote loss end up getting, revamped, reestablished, if you will, for now going to the side of Sugar Show. But man, to say there's nobody else to fight in this division is kind of wild, man. You got a whole plethora of who's who. I mean, we got Marab just waiting in the rings. There's a lot of fighters that have been seeing this come up, and don't get me wrong, I'm excited for this one, but I do think this might have been handpicked by the Sugar Show.
All right, well, if it's going to be handpicked, it's got to be for a reason. We know one thing, Marlon Vera, notoriously slow starter right here. So I wanted to actually take a peek at a couple of the numbers right here. You know we love a good big screen, AJ, so let's go ahead and bring it up. New way of looking at it. Oh, damn, it's not even going to show it. All right, we're taking the big screen off because it's too far at the bottom. It's not going to show it. But the over and under 4.5 rounds right here, minus 155 for the over. So people think that this is going to go to a decision, plus 125 for the under. So the odds makers are looking at this saying, all right, well, what do we know about Chito Vera? Super durable, right? Super duper durable. The question is, are we going to see a Sean O'Malley, Chris Moutinho type beatdown right here? Or is Chito Vera going to say, hey, I saw how tired you got against Yan in a 3-round fight. I'm going to drag you to them deep waters, and I'm going to show you what it's like to fight rounds 4 and 5. What do you think?
I think it's going to be the latter, Derek. I don't know if Sean O'Malley is going to be able to tee off like we saw him in that fight you were saying, because, man, Vera, he's very durable, but he's also very smart when he goes into these fights, man. He's looking for ways. He's able to cut you off, walk you down, and beat you up, and I expect him first strike out of the gate, spamming that leg kick, really make Sean O'Malley start thinking about it, and then that's what makes it interesting. If Sean O'Malley doesn't have the movement that he normally does, that flow we like to see him in, that's what makes this one really fun, because Chito Vera can really start to be that snowball effect, and once he starts going downhill.
One thing that I was looking at here, and I didn't know if I was crazy, because you don't want to let the narrative overcome everything. As we've gotten closer and closer to UFC 299, even though the odds have shifted further in favor of Sean O'Malley, the people's consensus has shifted higher on Chito Vera. Let's not forget, if you're an actual MMA fan and you follow what's happening, there's been a little bit of stuff that you got to keep up with. For an example, right here, Chito Vera, when he lost to Corey Sandhagen, he pretty much got dominated by the Sandman. It was just a different kind of stratosphere. And given that he had come off the Dominic Cruz head kick loss, a fight that he was losing prior to getting that finish, it really kind of soured the taste in our mouths right there. Let's not forget Rob Font, same type of situation. You're kind of losing the rounds, but you're getting the big knockdown at the end of the fights. Frankie Edgar kicked his face off. Davy Grant, so on and so forth, Jose Aldo, the takedown situation. The point is, we haven't looked at Marlon Vera as like, you're ready for the title here, but now that we know that he has the victory, people have been elevating it. So plus 750. I said all of that to go back to plus 750 decision prop for Marlon Vera. Am I a crazy man, or is there a touch of actual legitimate value right there? Again, deep waters. We know someone's tested for it. We don't know if Sean O'Malley is. What do you think?
Yeah, no, Derek, I actually see a lot of value if you're a Marlon Vera bettor going into that plus 750 decision because of what you're saying, man. He's a dog, and we saw how Sean O'Malley, once the tide gets turned, once he's not the one leading the dance, he starts to drain, man. I don't know if it's a mental thing or a physical thing because he's trying to put a little extra effort into there, but when that starts to happen, when he's becoming the nail, he really starts to slow down that pace, and that's where Vera can really dig in mentally and start to really work those combos and get this going, like you said, to those bloody waters, man.
Are you banking on Chito downloading, and finding the perfect shot? Or are you banking on something different, man? Because if we know Chito's approach, not a high-level takedown artist in terms of that's not his go-to, right? He'll walk you down, he'll stay in front of your face, or if O'Malley could keep his foot on the gas, he'll be perfectly fine shelling up into that high guard. Reason that I ask is because I feel like the play here, if you're an O'Malley bettor, I'm thinking decision has to be the play. I'm not really seeing any other path to victory. Don't see you knocking him out. Don't see you submitting him. So plus 100 is pretty juicy, but it makes me think, do you go with the minus cash in the money line, or do you go with the plus 100 given that durability of Vera?
I go with the decision, Derek. I mean, I see where you're playing at the minus 240 money line odds just because he has multiple ways. Sean O'Malley has multiple ways of winning this fight, but I like that plus 100 decision just for how both of them are going to have to fight. If Sean O'Malley comes out guns blazing at the front and Marlon Vera kicks his leg out, you know he's going to be thinking about that going in, calming it down. So I see a slower fight right here.
Yeah. A lot of people think that even though we're really hyped up, and listen, we're here to make money. Entertainment is just a plus. A lot of people consensus is that this is probably going to be a really boring main event, a point match, and we're going to see a decision. So listen, AJ, I'm betting Sean O'Malley on this one. All love to Chito Vera. You know, I rock the merch. I do the whole 9. I almost broke it out today, but I was like, no, I can't be biased. Here's the point. I really think ton of value, plus 100 decision prop for Sean O'Malley. Run it. Maybe couple that together with a parlay with something else or whatever the case may be. But that's the play right there. Any other take on this one, AJ?
No, I'm rocking with you on that one, man. That plus money, a decision looks really, really nice.
And then, who knows, man? We get the win. Is it going to be a trilogy match? I mean, someone's got to finish. If he doesn't finish him, we'll see. That's neither here nor there. But, and still, that's the pick. All right, folks. On to the next one right here. Now, AJ, believe it or not, I've had a harder time predicting this fight right here than I did about the championship fight. Dustin Poirier, Benoit Saint-Denis. Another situation where you have a guy who, very similar to last week's Shamil Gaziev, right? The new guy, he comes in, he's the favorite over Dustin the Diamond Poirier, the guy who's been doing it forever. Oh yeah, that's right. He fights at 155 pounds and he's 35 years old now. That definitely factors in. The young phenom, Saint-Denis, he's just kind of smashing everybody. He just head kicked Matt Frevola and somehow got himself a fight against the number 3 fighter in the division, which is kind of wild. This is what this comes down to, man. Minus 170, price to pay. Price of admission for a highly hyped up fighter who has not shown that he can compete at the level of a Dustin Poirier. Is that too high of a price to pay for you?
Absolutely, Derek. I mean, all we've been doing during this entire show, this entire run, 3 years right here, we always talk about how there's an upper echelon of these divisions where these guys just hang out, right? The Dustin Poiriers, the Michael Chandlers, you know, these people that just sit there consistently, having great fights, being able to be the top tier of the division, and having Benoit Saint-Denis to jump in from, and don't get me wrong, no disrespect to Matt Frevola, but jump from the steamroller all the way up to the diamond. At minus 170 money, Derek, I was honestly flabbergasted when I saw these odds right here.
Well, I think you're going to be a little more flabbergasted today, my friend, because we're going to pull up the big screen and we're going to take a look at Benoit Saint-Denis currently tracking minus 220, plus 180. AJ, I actually cashed a bet in. I'm going to be fully transparent with you guys, right? This is what this program is for. I cashed in a bet for Dustin Poirier like right when this fight got announced, and he was like plus 120, and I was like, oh my God, this is a steal. Little did I know we would come closer to the fight, and this dude is a plus 180 dog right now. So, of course, I'm going to preface all of this by saying my official pick, Benoit Saint-Denis. However, I couldn't give you guys a full consensus sheet. I had to do it for the game. Hedging hard on Dustin Poirier. Reason why here, AJ, a couple of things. 5-round fight. We have a finisher in Benoit Saint-Denis. A lot of people think he's going to take Dustin Poirier down, and it's going to be the end of that. I think that Poirier, a jiu-jitsu black belt, can definitely see himself getting taken down, but this dude, Benoit Saint-Denis, is not Khabib, right? Are you seeing inklings of that same type of dominance? Why are people so high on the grappling approach of Denis in a 5-round fight? Because I just see him gassing himself out like Gaziv did last week.
Yeah, I don't know why people are so high on that aspect. I do think that's the easiest route, or going to be the most valuable route if you're Benoit Saint-Denis to try to win this fight. But at the same time, we've seen Dustin stuff takedowns, be able to get up, and like you're saying, use his jiu-jitsu to be able to really turn the tide of this fight, man. And that's why I said before I was flabbergasted in this one, because I don't see what Benoit Saint-Denis can provide to the fight that Dustin Poirier hasn't already seen yet,
One thing. And this is something that I think it's very dangerous, even against a guy who is accredited as the Diamond, Dustin Poirier. Saint-Denis is a wild man, bro. And there's one spot that I have seen Poirier's takedown defense really falter, and that's when you're not throwing 1-2 traditional boxing that he could slip and move and do the whole 9. It's just the wild, I'm going to just go in, shoot a takedown, step back, throw a head kick, throw a couple combinations up top, and then come back to the takedown, and then finally get you down and put you down there. Now, on one hand, you might get the takedown. Second hand, you better finish that takedown, because if you don't, you got another 4 rounds ahead of you, buddy, and that's the problem. Let's also not forget, I'm not going to even pull up an image or anything like that, but we're seeing a little bit of a skin infection on Benoit Saint-Denis on his forehead right now. You saw it on the Getty images. Now, a lot of people are calling it staph. I actually don't think this is staph. This is another one of those. There's a million skin infections that you can get. The question becomes, are you on antibiotics or are you riding it out? Because if you're riding it out, first off, you're nasty, bro. Like this, I hate how this is such a commonplace thing in this sport. But number 2, if you're not taking antibiotics, there's really nothing that we should be worrying about. If you are, there's some concern. Are you concerned, AJ?
Man, I saw that picture the other day too, Derek, and it made me think, is this narrative going into this fight? I mean, obviously the narrative's against Dustin Poirier, being older, being the underdog, having really a kind of a skid now. And I mean, not necessarily a 3-fight skid, but losing 2 of your last 3 fights, people aren't looking at you the same. So maybe some Poirier fighters right there just trying to make something out of nothing. I am with you, though. If it is staph or if it is an infection, you're on antibiotics. So we've seen how detrimental that could be to fighters going into this one. We'll see, especially in a 5-round fight, man. That makes all the difference.
That's right. And I want to see what the body work is going to look like. These guys are both southpaws. Dustin Poirier's got the nasty rear leg kicks, work the nasty boxing to the body and all that. All I'm saying here, folks, is I think that Benoit Saint-Denis, if he's going to get a finish, I think it's going to come early. I have a hard time seeing this come in rounds 3, 4, 5. Dustin Poirier, on the other hand, I can see a TKO. So what do we like about a plus 275 TKO from the Diamond?
Ooh, especially later in the fight, right? Yeah. Benoit Saint-Denis has been shooting takedowns. He's been missing. He's been having to scramble. And then that big left hand and that slick boxing. And Poirier is able to come out round 4, round 5. You're already a little tired. That's when I really like that TKO. But Dustin has to be careful, because the best time for Benoit Saint-Denis to be able to win this fight is in those first 2 rounds.
Exactly, man. So now I can actually pull up the big screen for this, because it will show. But if you go all the way down to the bottom of the screen, over 1.5 rounds is minus 240, under is plus 190. So if the over is, yeah, that's what I cash in on. Over 1.5 minus 240. Is that not just a ridiculous? You're just like minus 240 for over 1.5. That's easy call. We're cashing on that all day. I don't know. I saw that, it just jumped out to me. I was like, this is ridiculous. But the point is that if it's going to go that route, you have to imagine you start hitting rounds 2, rounds 3, rounds 4. The more established fighter should be the one in the driver's seat. But you never know when you have a prospect like Benoit Saint-Denis, especially when his submission prop is plus 165. So to kind of round this out, maybe I'm not seeing something, but if you do look at the track record of Saint-Denis, you see a lot of arm triangle chokes. What do you see? A face crank, rear naked choke. I'm not convinced that he's going to be able to do this to this high caliber of a fighter in Dustin Poirier, who has fought in, Charles Oliveira, Khabib Nurmagomedov. I mean, it's tough because if you look at the last 10, Poirier has fought primarily strikers. So it is a little bit of tough. Are you giving some wiggle room to Saint-Denis being able to go in and submit him? If he can, then he should fight for the title next, right?
I mean, if he can, absolutely, that's calling for a title shot. If he gets a submission and doesn't call for a title shot, I'll be shocked. But I don't see it happening, Derek. Like you're saying, the jiu-jitsu strength that Dustin Poirier presents, yeah, he hasn't had to lean on it, but I can guarantee you he's been working on it. He knows what Benoit Saint-Denis wants to do, and I don't see Saint-Denis winning a point battle, so he's going to have to be looking for the finish on this one.
All right, last call right here. Apologies to spend so much time on this, but look at the decision props for both fighters. Plus 700 for Poirier, plus 650 for Benoit Saint-Denis. I'm not saying that this fight cannot go the distance, because I definitely think there is some wiggle room for it to hit that. 5 rounds is a long time, but if you're banking on one fighter to hit that, you're banking on Dustin Poirier, right? Like easy plus 700, throw $5 on it, right?
Easy plus 700. My big question, I don't really see where the odds makers are getting that plus 650 from Benoit Saint-Denis, giving him a better chance to win the 5-round fight in decision against a diamond. I don't see it at all.
Only thing I'm thinking is they imagine he could hold Poirier down for a couple rounds, and maybe win it that way. I don't know. I agree with you, though. So the official pick for me, Benoit Saint-Denis. AJ's rolling with Dustin the Diamond Poirier. This is our contentious pick, if you want to call it right there. But Tail, who you feel comfortable with, just know, full disclosure, I am heavily hedging Dustin Poirier. So heavy to the point where my bets are vastly on Dustin Poirier and they're not really on Saint-Denis. But the point is, for the sake of the contest, Benoit Saint-Denis is my official pick. All right, folks, moving right on along. AJ, now this is where things get really interesting because everything goes out the window. You have a UFC versus Bellator matchup right here. I don't care what you call it. MVP, Michael Page, he's here. He's ready to fight. And my man on the unfortunate kind of spectrum of things is a 36-year-old fighting at 170 pounds, karate stance, looking for a knockout against the Trailblazer, Kevin Holland. Now, rightfully so, Holland opened up as a minus 135 favorite. You track it right now. Odds have not shifted. AJ, what does that signal to you? Odds have not shifted from open here.
It signals to me, Derek, that a lot of people are unsure about what's going on right here. Like they just maybe haven't watched Bellator, and if you haven't seen Michael Venom Page, folks, shame on you because he's an excellent striker. Like Derek said, the karate stance is wild. But what I think right here, Derek, is will the shenanigans that are going to be happening in the cage, right, the talking, the gabbing, the showmanship of a Michael Venom Page, will that be what kind of takes over? Is it the fight? Because I think that's where these odds come into play, that a lot of people don't really know how the fight's going to go down. So nothing has moved besides, Kevin Holland being the favorite. What do you think?
I'll say that I have the same concern, except surprisingly not on Michael Venom Page's side, bro. I have the same concern for Kevin Holland because I see two of the biggest showboaters in the promotion currently who I could see dapping each other up the entire fight, talking to each other. Yeah, I saw that. Ooh, that was a good one, right? But that was the big mouth special. He told Kevin Holland, he told Joaquin Buckley, hey, bro, you got a booger. Wipe your booger, and then knocked him out after. Like, that's what we want. You got Michael Page kneeing a dude's skull inside and then throwing a Pokeball at him after, bro, being like, I got to catch them all doing the dance, the whole nine, right? So this is where it gets just concerning for me, man, because I think that in all stipulations, in all areas right here, I think Kevin Holland wins this matchup like 8 out of 10 times. Like, that's just my gut intuition watching film and all that. But we know Michael Page is a very precise fighter. We know Kevin Holland, though. This dude was fighting at 185, taking shots from nasty dudes and was not hardly phased. You've hardly seen the man rocked. Is this all banking on the focus of Kevin Holland here, right? Like, are you leaning towards he's going to be serious and this is the Trailblazer, or are we thinking that we're going to get a big mouth performance? I think that's where all conversations lead after we answer that question. What do you think?
Yeah, no, Derek, I definitely think Kevin Holland is going to be more of a martial artist than the talker, if you will. Like, especially with the way he fought Maddalena in his last fight. I mean, he was serious and he was calm, composed. Yeah, he might have been gabbing a little bit, but the fact that he's able to read things, see things, and keep it moving and keep his emotions and his tension under control and have that energy and utilize it when it's needed and draw it back whenever he doesn't need it. That's what I'm expecting to see Kevin Holland in this fight. The big thing that worries me, man, when you're in there and a guy's talking shit to you and also you guys are punching each other in the face, that's when I could see Big Mouth really coming out and losing that focus. So I am banking heavily on Kevin Holland to remain focused, remain composed, and stay fighting like we have seen his growth in the UFC continue.
I might be a madman here, bro, but there's something about that plus 200 on Kevin Holland that I'm just like, plus 200 for the decision, for that prop for Kevin Holland, that I'm like, that is juice to the fullest right here. I just think that it's going to be a very clear, get the bigger shots in, whatever the case may be, over a Michael Page, who, if you look at his last 10, man, this dude's barely getting out of the first round. He's knocking everybody out. But how is he doing it? He's like hitting you with that precision, one-hitter-quitter type stuff that I just don't think works in this level of promotion. We just saw, and for folks who are watching this, of course, the event has definitely passed at this point, but one thing that we've definitely seen was some guys that we consider to be really high level in like Bellators, PFLs, whatnot, fight a guy that's a little bit more on on their level, a little higher, highly accredited, and we see you're not quite that same animal that you were when you were fighting the Bellator prospects, which is not a problem. It's just a matter of the UFC being a different conversation. So I think that Kevin Holland wins this fight if he uses his grappling, which he should, because this dude is a phenomenal grappler in his own right. I think that this should be a very easy call. The problem that I'm having here is I just don't know how it's going to go. So I'm thinking plus 200 is something that I want to lean on personally. But could you see a split decision here happening because Kevin Holland and MVP were just over here playing touch butt in the park?
Absolutely, Derek. I like the decision. The crazy thing is, it looks like the odds makers like it as well. Plus 200 for both sides on the decision prop right here. I can see exactly them, not necessarily playing patty cake, but over there having fun, trying to outwit each other. And when you have two, well, especially in Michael Van Page, one very dangerous striker, and Kevin Holland, a very dangerous striker in his own right, who has kind of now found himself as a more mixed martial artist. I can see this being that fight of fire versus fire, and nobody gets knocked out. Here comes a decision. It could be a split.
Over 2.5, minus 165 on this one. I like that. I say cash in on that, folks. And with that being said, the official Bloody Water Podcast consensus pick, Kevin Holland, and I guess we're going by decision. So let's run it. Let's run it, baby. Let's go. All right, man. Next up, Gilbert Burns versus Jack Della Maddalena. So another situation where number 11 gets his shot, man. He gets his opportunity. And the guy that's giving him the opportunity is a guy who I think took the fight because he has a stylistic advantage. And if we saw Jack Della Maddalena, you watched him against the Basil Hafez, right? You're a little concerned, right? I watched that fight a bunch of times, and I was very, very concerned because, one, very underwhelming performance by Jack Della Maddalena. I think more than anything, let's get that part out of the way. Was that an underwhelming performance on his end, or was he just simply exposed stylistically?
I think it was more on the underwhelming performance. Maybe you're going in there thinking you're going to steamroll the dude. You're not really taking him too seriously. You get in there, he's a little bit more than you thought, a little bit more than you were prepared for mentally. And that's where I think we found JDM kind of trying to find himself, claw himself back into this fight. Because the last two, I mean, I'd even go in the Kevin Holland fight, Derek, that JDM kind of just didn't really seem to find his moments, right? Like he hasn't dominated either of the last two fights he's been in, and now he goes in and faces an absolute powerhouse in Gilbert Burns. We'll see if he also underperforms in this one.
Yeah. No, that's a big point, man. Because when I watched the Kevin Holland fight with JDM, I thought that Kevin Holland won that fight. And I'm going to pull up the big screen because if you look at the numbers right here, I mean, Holland outlanded him, man. But JDM got the split decision nod. So you're coming off of back-to-back split decision fights. You're fighting a guy who I saw this really weird stat, and I didn't even share it. Like I didn't go and look for it. Like I was looking through UFC stats, and I saw that Gilbert Burns. This is going to be really, really cool. Check this out. So Gilbert Burns, when he fought Jorge Masvidal, when he fought Wonderboy Thompson, and when he fought Mike Davis, in all three of those fights, those are three solid strikers right there. Fair to say, solid strikers. He shot 6 takedowns. He landed 3. He won all 3 of those fights. It was really weird. I was like, why 6 takedowns? That's just your number that you like to hit. Just 6 is the number. If we're looking across his career, 35% takedown accuracy through and through. So my question is this. We know that Gilbert, if he's going to set up his takedown, he's going to set it up with the 1-2 or he's going to set it up with the big right hand. You see it time and time again. He throws a like a crisp, long McGregor-esque rear hand and then drops in for the takedown, which is beautiful, right? But we've also seen Jack Della Maddalena be able to find himself getting out of that position. But if this arm creeps up here, AJ, you see it's jacking up my light. But if that arm, if it goes above his head, night-night, you're getting arm triangled by Gilbert Burns. So that's the big problem that I have because I would bet on Burns all day. And all week I was on Burns until I took one last look at one very important number, AJ. You know what that number was?
Age?
37 years old, Gilbert Burns, man.
Age.
Yes, sir. All right. So I set the table. Take over from here, brother. What are we thinking about JDM? How does he get the job done? And what props do we like, given that he's a minus 125 money line favorite at open? And right now, he's swollen to minus 170. What do you think?
Woo, Derek. I was with you, and I was with Gilbert Burns going into this fight, man. I'm thinking there's no way you're gonna tell me that Gilbert Burns has lost his edge, right? Like he's this guy. He's underrated. A lot of people don't really think he deserves to be at where he's at, or he's done a lot recently. I mean, yeah, he has one loss or he has lost his last fight, but that still doesn't take away from the fact that this dude's an animal. But to your point, man, JDM, Jack Della Maddalena, if he is able to fight for a decision or really maintain things. And I see right here a lot of power going to be exchanged back and forth, kind of that washing machine style of fight. And you just got to be aware of the submissions for Gilbert Burns. But what I like most right here is the decision prop, man, that plus 350, because I think both of these fighters right here are going to be drowning through the mud, right? Trudging through the mud, trying to find their moments against each other, whether it's cage fighting or whether it's actually, scrambles on the ground, getting up, whatever the case is. I expect this to be a very greedy fight that's going to take a lot of energy, and that's where I see the decision coming in. I like that one the most. I don't see a plus 165 TKO coming. I mean, Gilbert Burns is very hard to put away. It's possible, but I mean, it's very, very difficult. If Hamzat couldn't do it, if all the other great fighters he has fought couldn't do it, I mean, I don't necessarily see Jack Della Maddalena being able to put a sneaky, precise counter strike in on Gilbert when he's shooting in, but it is a possibility. I like the decision prop right here.
I'll tell you, man, only guy in the last 10 to put Burns down was his buddy, Kamaru Usman, when he dropped him with the jab, ended up finishing him off, right? Yeah, and Burns is notoriously a very difficult guy to get up out of there, which is why I say if you're unsure and if you don't want to tail either of us on that, you're going to go the prop lock, right? Was that my prop lock? That was one of them right there. It was the over 1.5 rounds for this fight right here, minus 220. That's cash, bro. Like, for me, I'm like, oh my God, we're smash spot right there. You're going to drop a considerable amount on that prop right there, in my opinion. But again, just give me a shot, man. If Burns shoots 6 takedowns, is he going to land at least 3 of them as he has done against those 3 other notable strikers?
Oh, yeah, absolutely, Derek. And I don't know why 6 is his number. Like, this is a 3-round fight, right?
This is a 3-round fight, yeah.
Yeah,
all
maybe
those ones were
two around. 2 around.
Yeah.
You can be 50% per round. I see 6, if not more, but I do see him landing at least 50%.
So that's just the concern that we got right there, man, because then you have to look at if he can get him down. We know jiu-jitsu, in terms of Gilbert Burns, this dude is not just like, oh, yeah, I do jiu-jitsu. Like, he competes at legitimate jiu-jitsu tournaments and has had fantastic success in the past before, plus 230 for the submission. Just tell me, is that juice worth squeezing?
Plus 230 for the submission for Gilbert Burns. Yeah, man. I think it is. If you're not going to put a full unit, you want to throw some scratch cash on that. I do think it can happen. I mean, we'll see. Maddalena, has he been put away by submission? I don't have that prop or that number up.
Nah, he's only got how many losses for Maddalena? 2 losses, nothing that's come of recent note. I'll look it up while you finish up the conversation.
Yeah, man. No, I do see it happening, but I honestly, to this one, Derek, I really think it's going to be that washing machine, knockdown, drag out style of fight where both of these fighters are gassed at the end. I mean, and not saying they're going to be a poor performance, but just saying they're going to have to give their all to really get there. I don't see a finish happening personally, but hey, if you're feeling lucky, folks, you're feeling a little juice there. Plus 230 for a submission on Gilbert Burns does make sense.
All right, and to go back to answer your question, yes, Della Maddalena has been finished. It was his second professional fight back in 2016, rear naked choke. He has rattled off 16 straight victories since then, majority of those being finishes. So I'll just say this, watch the body work. Della Maddalena is going to beat up the body. If he could beat up Burns, he already has a considerable speed advantage. I think speed kills in this matchup. Bloody Water Podcast consensus pick, Jack Della Maddalena. Again, if you do not want to tail, over 1.5 rounds is your smash spot. Currently listed, once again, and I'll show you guys on the screen so that you know that I'm not just making up numbers, over 1.5 rounds, minus 220. You throw a full unit on that at the least right there. I am smashing that one all day long. All right, folks, and with that being said, let's jump back to AJ, the opening bout. How does my man Petr Yan just get relegated to the opening bout? It's because he brings excitement, and that's what this is about. So, number 4, Petr Yan versus Song Yadong, number 7, right here. We know one thing about Song. We know this dude is good. It's verified, it's confirmed. But I think the level of disrespect that has come to Petr Yan after 3 straight losses, to two current and or former champions, and a dude who has been the number 1 guy forever, but just didn't fight because Sterling was the champ. Merab Dvalishvili, Sean O'Malley, Aljamain Sterling, ×2. Those are all of his losses of like in recent memory. What are we doing with this matchup? Minus 135 was the open. If you're looking at the number right now, minus 120. It has shrunk. People are not high on Petr Yan. Are you, though, AJ? That's the question.
I am high on Piotr Jan, Derek. And I think a lot of people aren't high on him, one, because of the 3-loss skid. But like you said, there's a world champs or potential world champs coming forward. Why I like Piotr Jan, a lot of people think he's an older fighter. Man, this dude is 31 years old, man. His way is in no short term dusted at all. Like Piotr Jan, and not only is he young, but he's also still hungry. He's a vicious, and we've said this before with no no ill will, right? He is a dirty kind of style of fighter, but not in the sense that, yeah, I mean, he might knee Aljo in the head while he's on the ground, but he's not going to be looking for those kind of things, right? He's going to be looking for ways to make this fight very, very hard for you. And that, man, that right there, just that grit and that tenacity has me so high on Piotr Jan. And nonetheless, the striking, y'all know I'm a big fan of striking over here. And Piotr Jan, when he starts to put those combos together, he looks sharp. The only thing is, man, Song packs a punch, and if he gets you on a counter strike when you're not seeing it, you could be, sitting there dizzy, trying to find some sort of grasp on reality going forward. Do you see power in Song Yadong being able to hurt Jan in this fight, Derek?
I was gonna say that's literally the only thing that I see being like a difference maker in this matchup right here. If you look at the guys that Piotr Jan has beat when he was the champion, coming up to the championship, Corey Sandhagen, Jose Aldo, Uriah Faber, Jimmy Rivera, John Dodson, Douglas Silva de Andrade, all of those guys, literally every single one that I just named, all have more weapons in their arsenal than Song does. But Song has one thing that none of those guys have, which is a shot that if he catches you, so it's it. Call it, right? Corey Sandhagen, he said that when of all of his fights in his entire career, you know what I mean? There's one fighter who has hit him the hardest that he's ever been hit, and it was Song, and it was with a left hook. And I was like, wow, all right, that guy does have power, and we know it. So the game is going to be who is going to be leading the dance and who's going to be giving off the bad visuals. The reason that I say that is both of these guys have the very similar style of guard, which is a high guard right here. Eat the punches. All right, my turn. And it's very much my turn, your turn, my turn, your turn. So one thing that we need to take a look at here, AJ, and I think this is the perfect time to do it, is if we look at the matchup and we go to the big screen, let's look at strikes landed per minute. Piotr Jan, 5.03, 4.38 for Song Yadong, not a considerable difference. Accuracy, way higher for Jan, over 50%, 42% for Song. Strikes absorbed. Piotr Jan is very, very... How would you say, AJ? It's just he's willing to just eat the shots, and like I said, your turn. But then again, you have to take into consideration he's been in more 5-round fights, so he's had longer fight time. And then if you look at the defense, it's pretty much on par. This is the thing right here. He has that extra tool. He can take Song down. And if he takes Song down, that's the question that I have for you. It's a 3-round fight. Is Jan going to start quick, start trying to beat up the body, working some takedowns, kind of take the Sean O'Malley approach? Like that fight that he had against Sean O'Malley, I thought his approach was fantastic, but Sugar was just able to get up a couple times when he was trying to keep him down. What do you think? Same approach? Similar? Different? What do you think?
Same approach, especially, man. I do think Song is really going to have to come out here fast and start heavy, right? Let Piotr Jan know that he's there to dominate this fight, because if you let Piotr Jan, start getting that snowball effect down, man, he is a dangerous, dangerous downhill fighter. And if you're Piotr Jan, absolutely, I expect him to take that same approach in the Sean O'Malley fight. Try to get this fight to the ground, try to beat him up, nullify those big power moves that Song has, but getting into that range, getting into that distance is going to be very tricky.
You think Song's faster?
Ooh, that's a good question, Derek. I would say with a one-shot strike, Song is faster, but Piotr Jan probably has faster combos.
So if you're looking at the knockouts, right, from Song coming recently, Julio Arce, Marlon Moraes, which that doesn't even really count because this dude just got knocked out like 10 times in a row, something crazy. Ricky Simone got the finish there. That was impressive. And then he went to a decision against Chris Gutierrez, which was tough because he's a ticky-tack fighter. You know what I mean? He's tough to hit. Piotr Jan, not as tough to hit, but we know decisions are very, very common in this man's career, right? He has a couple finishes, Jose Aldo, Uriah Faber, Douglas Silva de Andrade, but pretty much everybody else are going to a decision. So I really do believe here, I'm not convinced too heavy on any of these props, because I think that what can happen is I can see a very close decision coming out of this fight. That's typically just kind of what we're seeing from Jan right now, also from what we're seeing from Song. Neither fighter just being definitive enough to have that just close out, I got it done. So that's why I say, no matter where you're at here, the Bloody Water Podcast consensus pick is on the former bantamweight champion, Piotr Jan. I think one more time, let's pull it up. What is it? It is over 2.5. I think that's cash right here, bro. So I'm going to pull it up. Over 2.5, minus 275 right here. I think that I like that more than trying to place a heavy bet on either one of these fighters. Of course, the pick is Jan. I'll throw Jan in a parlay even. That's how confident that I am. But if you're really like, I want to make one solid bet, I think over 2.5, minus 275 is like a incredible bet to make at value given how confident you could be for it. Do you agree?
Absolutely, especially with that last caveat. Given how confident you can be going into this one, I see a very, very close fight. And I was looking at the odds. I mean, the odds for Petr Yan, man, even plus 135 decision, it's a little too close for me. I really like that over 2.5.
That's right. So I think that this is going to be a war of attrition again. Who knows what the judging is going to be like? I think this is taking place in Miami, right, in Florida. So this is not the Las Vegas Athletic Commission. But with that being said, Bloody Water Podcast consensus pick is going to Petr Yan to kind of relegate the rest of the contenders and just say, hey, listen, there is a very clear pecking order right here. He might not be the champion, but, he is definitely a top 5 fighter. And with that being said, that is your main card breakdown right there, folks. So if you stuck around for the entire breakdown and analysis, you're here to win big. You're a Bloody Water Podcast Army advocate. We love it. So go ahead and drop a subscription if you have not done so yet, because if you're not, you're missing out on free game, free money, free value. That's what we're talking about. Now, AJ, they're not missing out on one thing. It's the thing that we haven't hit yet. It is going to be talking about the unknowns of today and the stars of tomorrow. But AJ, we have to give a little bit of a preface, right? We haven't even hit it. I haven't even hit on over to the next screen yet. And the reason why is because, let's caveat, there are no sleepers. UFC 299. This is probably one of the most stacked cards that we got, yeah?
Oh, absolutely. When we were trying to hunt for sleepers, very slim pickings right here, folks. This card is stacked to the brim, like we said in the beginning.
With that being said, let's jump straight to it.
It's time for some fight night.
And if you ain't paying attention, you're gonna sleep on me and I'm gonna wake you up.
Now, AJ, I'm gonna let you just go straight first because of all of the, even though none of them these are sleepers, you have the most sleeper of the non-sleepers, if that makes sense. I know that was a tongue twister. Try saying that 5 times fast. All right, AJ, we're pulling up the big screen. Talk to the people. You got a heavyweight bout right here. Sleeper, 6'7", Taekwondo bronze medalist. Talk to the people.
And I got a very fun one. Like Derek said, man, Taekwondo bronze medalist into Spain and then Parisian. I mean, we haven't seen Josh Parisian's name come up in quite a while, but man, this is going to be a very fun fight. Spain, 4 knockouts, all in the first round. Massive, massive opportunity right here to make a big splash. And then you got Parisian on the other side. This dude's on a 3-fight skid, 4-fight skid. I forget exactly what it is. He's on a skid regardless, but either way, he needs the win, folks. Right here, I'm calling this one the hungry heavyweights. We used to play the hungry hippos. These are the heavyweights right here, folks. One hunting to make a big KO splash in his new organization, and one hunting to keep his job, folks. I'm expecting fireworks from the jump. Both these fighters need to make a statement right here.
Dog, let's give a little more context right here. You said it was 4 quick knockouts, right? This dude's got a combined 5 minutes of fight time, and most of that came in his first fight. You know what I mean? So let's just say there's a reason that this dude is in the UFC at 4-0, and one of the biggest reasons that I would have to say here, AJ, is because this dude is a 6'7" heavyweight with the longest reach in UFC history at 87 inches. John Jones has held that down for a long time. 87 inches, brother. He's hitting you from places you can't fathom. You better stay far away. So that is a sleeper. That's just a novelty. Let's tune into this one. Let's have some fun. All right. My sleeper, folks, not a sleeper whatsoever. If you know anything about the UFC, you better know these two people. Michel Paeta, Mikhail Oleksichuk. Banging. One guy got to take down Edge and Paeta, but otherwise they're meeting in the middle and they're throwing. We might see some fun flips and capoeira nonsense from Pereira, but the point is, if this goes to a decision, it's because Paeta just kind of laid on Oleksichuk. But if it goes as planned, UFC 299, one of these dudes is getting their head knocked off. It's almost certain right here. 5 fights at least for the streak right here for Paeta, coming off of that knockout victory against Andre Petroski. How impressive is that? And then for Michael Oleksichuk, knocked out Chidi and Jaquani. So listen, folks, I don't know about you, but this is a must-watch bout for me. So with that being said, those are your sleepers. And AJ, we got one last thing that we need to do, and I jumped into it preliminarily, but it's a prelim pour-over, brother. So we talked about stack cards. That was just the main card. AJ, listen, let me take a look. We got a couple of minutes. We're not terrible on time right now, so let's jump through and let's just take a look. So I skipped over a whole section. This is the regular prelim. AJ, this is the early prelim. My sleeper was on the early prelim, bro. Michel Paeta, Oleksichuk, yours too. But let's jump into some of the bigger names right here. More specifically, this guy, Mateusz Gamrot versus RDA, your boy right there. What do you think about this one, man? Plus 360, if my eyeball, plus 350, excuse me. Underdog is RDA. Is his time past, man? We love him, but is his time past? Is Gamrot going to smash?
We love him, and unfortunately, Derek, it hurts me to say it, but I am very worried for RDA in this fight. Mateusz Gamrot is one of the newest, or I guess not newest, but one of the new breeds of fighters that we've been seeing, man. He has it all, he can do it all, and he's a very dangerous fighter. Not to say RDA isn't, but I'm a little worried for him on this one.
This is what I'm worried about right here, man. 39 years old, bro. 39. Fighting at 155. We've seen him go up and down, 155, 170, 155, 170. I think that he's at his best at 155, but with his age, I feel like he should be at 170. I just don't. I think that a lot of the skills and the fast twitch that you need in this division, it might not work out in this matchup right here. But let's not be crazy, man. Let's just take a look. You lost your last fight to Vicente Luque in a decision. I think there's a lot of takedowns in that one, if I remember correctly. But you're not bad, man. 3-2 in his last 5, so it's not terrible. I like Gamrot right here. My only question is minus 475 favorite, bro. Like, what do you feel about that? Is that a little disrespect to a former champion?
I mean, disrespect to a former champion when you put it like that, Derek, yes. But if you just take these two fighters as they are at their exact moments right now, it makes a lot of sense, and it's a stay away from me personally if you're Gamrot betting.
Heard that. All right. AJ, I want your take here. People are calling me crazy. I have cashed a considerate bet on Pedro Munoz at plus 180 as an underdog against Kyler Phillips. I just think, even though, again, we're talking about the same thing. He's a 37-year-old, 135 pounds. If we're going against conventional wisdom, yeah, we're making a bad bet. But I think that Pedro Munoz is that tricky of a guy where he can slow down the fight to make it to where he wants to. Look at the Sean O'Malley fight, for an example, right? Yeah, ended in an eye poke. We should probably, maybe. Now he's the champ. You're probably never going to get that fight back, right? But I just think that he can take the fight and make it where he wants to be. Chris Gutierrez did the same thing after, and then the reason he lost the Chito Vera fight, he doesn't have the pop that Chito Vera has. I don't think Kyler Phillips has that level of danger in his hands in terms of concerning Pedro Munoz in that sense. So what I can see this turning into here, AJ, is actually just like a very, very close decision fight, just going over 2.5 rounds. And if Pedro Munoz could squeak it out, that's the play right there. Otherwise, the only other thing that you're trying to hit on is that minus 300 at over 2.5 rounds. But I don't think there's enough value right there. So am I a madman? I said all of that to say, is this a terrible bet on my half for Pedro Munoz?
No, Derek, not a terrible bet for Pedro Munoz at all. In fact, that's who I was looking for to win this fight too. I think Pedro Munoz is going to be able to drag this one out, drag it to the literally the end of the fight, and just nullify the matrix in Kyler Phillips, his ability to get his strikes going. The only thing that worries me, man, is Kyler Phillips can pull things out of nowhere and hit you with a spinning kick that you didn't see coming. I don't think it's going to happen to Pedro Munoz, especially if he's the one leading the dance and being able to control that timing like you're talking about.
That's it. It's going to be interesting, but I'm using a lot of UFC veteranship, a dude who's fought the best of the best right here. And again, Chito Vera is fighting for a championship, right? Kyler Phillips, not quite on that level. I think Pedro Munoz can get past that. And if he cannot, then we might have to rethink the even gatekeeper status of this division right here for this fighter. All right, man. Katlyn Chookagian, formerly Chookagian, now Sermonara. She's been married and had this name forever. She's just gone by Chookagian. I don't know why they're changing it all of a sudden. I only have one question here. At one point, Katlyn Chookagian by decision was like death, taxes, and Katlyn Chookagian by decision. That was the play, right? Maycee Barber, man, I cannot hate no more. I will be honest with you guys. I have been a hater on Maycee Barber. Did not think that she would be living up to the hype that she was supposed to. After that Roxanne Modafferi fight or whatever the case where she lost, I was like, this is not it. But she got hurt. She's shown she's legit. This is one of those turning of guard fights right here where Barber might put it on. Look at the odds, man. She's a minus 200 favorite, plus 170 comeback for Katlyn. Who wins?
Oh, man, Maycee Barber, folks. That's why I'm putting this one in the parlay watch, because right here, I see this being the time of when Maycee Barber is actually able to follow through on all those lofty promises that she was saying before in her career. But this is the time where Maycee Barber can really get things going. And if she does it against a fighter like Katlyn Chookagian, or excuse me, Katlyn Sermonara, that's going to take a while, folks. Either way, Maycee Barber has all the tools to be able to get this fight where she needs to and dominate. I really like Maycee Barber in this one.
And now just to play it safe, because you gotta see where the juice is at, right? Where is it at? Where's this fight at? Minus 350 over 2.5. There's no juice to be squeezed there. I don't like it enough. Maybe you throw it in enough parlays, it could hit some value. But as a standalone, we don't need to worry about that. All right, AJ, another time. Again, transparency. I have placed another considerable wager here, AJ, on Curtis Blades, minus 110. I don't know what the hell is going on here, but for some reason they think that Almeida is going to pick him up, ragdoll him like he hasn't been the scariest wrestler in the division for I don't know how many years. On one hand, Curtis Blades does everything that Jailton Almeida does, probably even a little bit better, except he can also strike too, right? He can knock you out. If Jailton Almeida shoots, gets his shot stuffed, what's the next step?
Yeah, the next step is he's in trouble, Derek. Looking for a way, because when you get Curtis Blades, razor blades on top of you, man, he is so good at wrestling that he's not going to be able to let you up. There's no way he's going to smother you. He's going to be landing those elbows like we've seen him do, and that right there worries me. The big thing, though, I mean, we've all seen Jailton Almeida. He has the power. Do you think he'll stand up a little bit in this fight to avoid the grappling or the wrestling chops that Curtis Blade presents?
I think if he does, it's a fast track of getting knocked out because I've not seen anything impressive on the feet. I think Jailton Almeida is a stud, and I think he can – that's how shallow the heavyweight division is. I think he can go this far just on grappling alone. But then you run into the antithesis of what you are as a fighter, you know what I mean, which is Curtis Blades, the anti-wrestling guy, right? Look at the numbers, man. They both average. Look, Blade still averages higher takedown averages per fight, not higher takedown accuracy, slightly lower takedown accuracy. The only difference is Jailton Almeida would be quick to jump on a sub or just kind of ride out the control for the entire fight. Blades is going to put the razor blades on you. It's a complete utter difference. Pretty much the same age, same reach, same height. I just think that Curtis Blades, for whatever reason, and we need to look into why the disrespect is coming up here. You lose to Sergey Pavlovich, all right, bro, but that doesn't count. Tom Aspinall fight doesn't count. All right, let's dive in. You beat Jorginho Rosenstruck. You lost to Lewis in a fight that you were winning. You just got caught with an uppercut. You beat Volkov, JDS, Shamil Abdurakhimov, Justin Willis. Wow, flash from the past. You got knocked out a couple times by Ngannou. That's fine. Look at this, man. I'm just saying. Where has this all of a sudden said Jailton Almeida is so good that Curtis Blade should be on even money? Pick him with him. I think this is a smash spot. Again, I have placed a considerable wager for a pure money line for Curtis Blades. Am I crazy or not?
Not crazy one bit, Derek. In fact, while we were doing prep on this one, I was trying to find something, a nice juicy play for Curtis Blades, because I think he can get this one done, especially, man, like you said, the antithesis, the top of what Jailton Almeida is looking to do. I think it's just that Jailton Almeida is a new shiny toy. Everyone's forgot about Curtis Blades. I think it's a very faulty move for anybody else, man.
Meaning that if you watch film and you're an actual fan of this sport and you pay attention, this is where you come up right here. This is where all the recency bias, we don't pay that too much mind right there. All right, AJ, now let me see. We've covered just about all the important bouts that I wanted to talk about. Let's see, anything else? Only other thing that was notable was Joanne Wood versus Marina Moroz, and this was only for me to just simply say, I think that if you want to bet over 2.5 rounds or just like a pure money line on Marina Moroz, I think she gets this one done in like easy fashion. 38 years old, Joanne Wood, still trying to get it. I just think the speed's too much, the boxing is going to be too much, and unless Wood can get her to the ground, that Muay Thai, I don't think it's going to hold up. What do you think?
Yeah, I really like Moroz in this one. This feels almost like the time where Joanne Wood is starting to get to that part of her career where we might see her starting to fight a lot less.
No disrespect, brother, but I felt that way. Come on. When we started seeing how the performances turned, basically after she lost her title shot to Jennifer Maia. 2020. Mm-hmm. This is as soon as she lost that title shot. Right prior to this, she was in line for a title. Said, "I want to be active. I'll fight Jennifer Maia." Lost the title shot. Jennifer Maia went on to fight Shevchenko, and then from there, you beat Jessica Ai. You dropped 3 in a row. Two legit Alexa Grasso, Tyler Santos, but then Lauren Murphy. You get your win against Luana Carolina, which was a very tightly contested split decision. I think against Marina Moroz, we just kind of call it from there. But with that being said, AJ, we made it to the outro. I'm just excited that we got a full slate of fights for UFC 299. And folks, I don't say this very often, but this is one that I say you break out your pocketbook and you say, I'm going to get full HD quality. I'm not hitting the sports bar for this one because it's going to be madness. The Sean O'Malley sports bar, Sugar Show, it's too much madness, right? We stay at home, buy a couple Modelos, have a good time. You know what time it is. AJ, we're here at the outro. Take us out of here, brother.
Stay at home, stay safe, and go watch these fights, folks. We said it in the beginning. Nobody's doing it like us. And in fact, the proof is in the pudding. You go look at all the other bettors that have been on ESPN or anywhere out there in the ether, if you will. We've seen Greeks go by. We've seen people with AK picks go by. Shit, even DC has had to partner up with the great Uncle Chael to get his show going. Either way, man, you know where the best quality is, right here on the Bloody Water Podcast, consistently bringing you the best bets, consistently making you money. Now you just got to go subscribe and share it with your friends. You already know, folks.
Couldn't have said it better myself. Folks, that is your UFC 299 breakdown. Want to give you a heads up, it's already official. No preview show next week. We got some things to attend to. I'll leave it at that. Might have a post show, but what we wanted to give you was the value to place your bets. So just drop some comments once you've won your money and let us know how we did. That's all for us, folks. Catch us on the flip side, and until next time, peace.